Hi, and welcome to A Better Place. In today's program, we will be talking to a very inspirational young man on St. Martin, as we will be discussing his profession and how he continues to motivate families. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
It's a wireless system. Cable WTN. Go digital WTN. With local TV channel 10. Call and make a date. 542-5898. Down by Oversea Building, Ruby and Star waiting. 48 channel, fasting with plenty more coming. News and sports from all over. Novella, Creole and Patois. Local thing is priority soon. Papi Menton, Taki Taki. WTN channel TV 10. We'll always be your friend. Check out the scene, we have the best rate. 542-5898. Hey man! WTN K1.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. As I mentioned in the intro, today we will be talking to a young man in St. Martin society who is very inspirational in his profession and helps to motivate families. Roy, welcome to A Better Place.
Thank you very much, Angelique, for having me.
Well, your full name is Mr. Roy Cotton Jr., and I understand that you're doing great work in St. Martin society. But before we get into our second program and our first program, we want to talk a little bit about your profession, who you are, and what you do here on the island.
Okay, sure. Well, as it is, you mentioned, my full name is Roy Cotton Jr., son of the soil, born in beautiful St. Martin, and was reared here, went to school at the St. Joseph Primary School, and wonderful memories there were back in those days. And when I completed the St. Joseph School, I went on to study at the Milton Peters College, and there I did my 4 years of Marvel and 2 years of Harville, and then it was time to leave the island and go on to pursue my studies. But before doing that, those were really good years as I look back as being a boy, growing up on St. Martin, and being with family and friends, because from those days that I can remember, family was absolutely the core aspect of keeping everyone together, the way how you go and visit family, have friends around. Those were really the days when things were completely different to today, how families are operating. And for me, I've got really very pleasant memories of childhood back in those days.
Okay, and where did you further your studies?
Well, when I left St. Martin, I started off a very interesting journey, Angelique. I started off in Curacao, just right next door, back in 1994. And there I went to pursue my studies in nursing. Now, one may ask, wow, nursing? But what it was initially for me was that I had discovered that there was this part of me that really wanted to help people, to be there in a professional way, to administer that help to persons who are not able to look after themselves. And I was always intrigued by that aspect of the medical field, but also with a combination of, being able to listen to people's, things that they wanted to share, what's on their chest. So being a good listener. And I said, what, this may be a profession that I can step into with a long-term vision of becoming, potentially a doctor. So I took that step and left St. Martin in 1994 and went to study at that time, as they called it, the IFE. And it was a very interesting time, being, one of the upper islands, as you would say, upper islands students, and as a male, among many other, students from Curacao at the IFE nursing school. So it was a big step for me, going into a profession as nursing and being able to know at the end of the day that I have the opportunity to be able to help people, to be there for them at their most vulnerable moments.
Okay, nice. And for some persons who might be listening and might be saying, okay, well, he's from St. Martin, but the accent doesn't quite correspond.
Right.
How did you maintain, how did you, you know, have or get such an accent?
Okay, I guess you were I guess you were talking about the English accent.
Right.
Okay. That's a very interesting story if I was to even fast forward my years. But the truth is, Angelique, is that the English accent is due to the fact that I lived in the UK for 8 years. I lived in England from 2002 to 2010. And not being so long back on the island, I guess the the accent has left me. You know, I sometimes said to my friends in a very joking manner, I said, well, I'm a St. Martin person with an English accent, a unique British accent, and
Right.
they say, quite true. We haven't actually seen anyone or heard anyone like that. So that is what really explains about the
Right.
accent. And to be very honest, sometimes I don't even think about the accent is there. Sometimes persons will say to me, I really love the way how you speak. Just stand there and speak to me for hours. So
Right.
that's how that accent came about.
Okay, so you mentioned the UK, and like you said, let's fast forward a bit because
Okay.
in the second segment we want to go more in depth as to what you're doing right now. So
Okay.
you moved to the UK after you completed what you were doing in Curacao. That's how I'm trying to work
Okay,
out
sure.
the years.
So we work out the puzzle a bit
Right.
there for you and the viewers. After Curacao, let's put it this way, I actually, and you can see this as an inspirational aspect for the viewers out there, I would say that I took it in steps. So when I started off in Curacao, doing my nursing, I had that goal in mind that eventually I would want to move forward. I would want to go on to the Netherlands to complete my studies. So in 1996, the opportunity came, and I had the opportunity to move to the Netherlands, The Hague, and there I completed the final 2 years of my nursing, which we called at that time, and I believe it's still the same time now, the MBO level. And then I went on to do my HBO, so HBO as it is, in Amsterdam. And I successfully did the 2 years there. And I thought, to myself, okay, I've achieved this, hard work, even despite the challenges in between being further away from home. So that's a bigger step from Curacao to Holland. And whilst being in Holland for 6 years and experiencing so many things, challenges here, really also good times, the opportunity came for me to move to the UK. Because there was one thing that I got really intrigued in when I was on Curacao during my nursing training, and that was when I was exposed to the whole aspect of maternity. It was, amazing for me to see how a family starts, how pregnancy takes place, and then from that stage of pregnancy moving into delivering a baby. I thought to myself, this may be an area where I can contribute and be a part of that joyful moment for family, the starting of a family. So I said, you know what, I'm going to pursue the opportunity to move to the UK and study midwifery. And the opportunity came, and I'm very thankful to God for that, and I moved to the UK in 2002. And that's when I started to study at University of Hertfordshire, and that was my first degree in midwifery. So
Okay.
that's how it all came about, going to the
So
UK.
in the UK you studied midwifery.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Well, it's been so interesting. You see, I'm here. My ears are glued to what you're saying because your journey is definitely one that, is motivating to youngsters who want to pursue a career, whichever career be it, and knowing that, it takes steps to reach where you want to reach. So right now, Roy, we have to take our first break. And when
Okay.
we come back, we'll chat a little bit more about what you're doing currently on St. Martin.
Okay, sure.
Stay tuned. We will be right back.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So Roy, we're going to discuss now what you're doing currently on St. Martin. But before we start with that, I want you to elaborate a bit on how you got into the field that you are in now, seeing that when you were in the UK, you did midwifery.
Okay. It is really amazing, Angelique, how that happened. You know, when I look back in my life, there's been some really amazing, turning points, which I believe, even as I reflect back, that, God created those opportunities so that today, as I look back, I can see the steps that I've taken and how they can be very inspiring to a person today who is watching this program. So how that came about, 2.5 years doing midwifery, had the privilege, as I stated, to be there at the start of a family, because that opportunity that was given to me was I had the privilege to be part of delivering babies, and I had that opportunity I delivered quite a few babies when I was there during my training, and I had seen from that point in time how a family can start where you have maybe father and mother there, or it may be just a single mom that comes in. You have a whole family unit from the different cultures in the UK, and I will never forget this, that there was one placement that I was on, and I was on the early pregnancy unit. And unfortunately there I had experienced that there were some clients who had miscarriage. And I saw the emotional effect that it took on, the couple, or even in particular the mother-to-be. And I thought, at the end of the day, this is still my heart's desire to inspire people to be there for them at their most vulnerable moments. And I looked into the opportunity of, transferring with my credits into the field of counseling. And that's how that came about. So even though I wanted to stay midwifery, I saw that this was going to be a great opportunity to be there for people on the fact of supporting them, being a listening ear when they're going through emotional turmoil. And that's how I transferred into doing counseling. I completed the 2 years at Hertfordshire in counseling, psychodynamic and person-centered counseling. Those are two methods of counseling. And then I went on to do my postgraduate, which is a postgraduate in working with groups, working with professionals to be able to also train other professionals like psychologists, doctors, who are working with different groups of people on how to deal with them. And then finally, when I completed that and obtained my postgraduate diploma in counseling at Goldsmith University in London, I went on to another university where I did a short course in working with families and couples who are having challenges in a relationship for counseling. And then that's when the opportunity came for me to come back to St. Martin in 2010. And I said, well, okay, God has created this opportunity to come back home, to contribute and to give back to my folks, my people on St. Martin. And when I got here, I was not in my full position as yet. So I went about working on the airport as a part-time job, just until I got the great opportunity to be where I am today in the Court of Guardianship. So I started off in the Court of Guardianship in February 2011, and there now I function in a capacity as social worker, because that's what we have at the Court of Guardianship, but my background and profession is counseling. And I've been there since 2011, as I've mentioned, and it has been an interesting journey over the last 2 years, in the fact of the clients that we see on a daily basis, or what I do see on a daily basis, where you're dealing with, request of child custody, if there's been, a divorce, and the parents go to the divorce court, the judge may ask, for the Court of Guardianship to do a investigation on, you know, the family dynamics, on where it would be best for the child or the children to stay with which parent. Then, you know, deal with aspects of adoption, in various types of, you know, situations, including juvenile cases. So I've had the privilege ever since September 2011 to work very closely on dealing with the juveniles. And so that's youngsters under the age of 17 who may have gotten themselves, unfortunately, in trouble with the law. And that could be by making a wrong decision through peer pressure. And then, you know, they are incarcerated, but they're still going to school. And then as a social worker, we would have to visit them at the police station, do an early intervention interview, and from that then we are able to determine, you know, with the advice to the public prosecutor, what would be best to help this youngster to stay on the right track.
Right.
So it's very, very interesting, you know, the work that I do and the feeling of that rewarding feeling to know that I'm making a difference, even though the situations may not be always a comfortable or a nice situation, but, you know, making a difference in the person's lives who are coming to see me at the Court of Guardianship.
Right, so now you can say that your work at the Court of Guardianship is varied. It's
Correct.
not set to one particular aspect. You
Correct.
do various jobs, functions
Correct.
within the Court of Guardianship.
Correct. Because it balances, Angelique, between two, what my job entails is that I deal with civil cases, and civil cases are anything from, as I've mentioned, you know, request for child custody, legal guardianship. Also, the other aspect is visitation arrangements, because sometimes you have a couple who may not have been married, but however they have a child together, and or children, and sometimes it's, you know, it's not working out with them for, you know, who, if the dad gets the time to stay with, you know, the children or the mom. And then, you know, you have civil cases where it might be about child abuse, you know, sexual abuse, so you have to investigate. And when it comes to the juvenile cases, that's where then, you know, you're talking to the youngster, you're being also very straightforward and firm of the fact that, you know, they're here for a reason. You know, there's been a court order by the judge because they've been through the public prosecutor, and you are telling them this is the reason why you're here. Maybe if it's to do community service, or if it's to do a specific program to help them to stay on the right track. But then you, at the same time, you use that opportunity, which I do, to actually let the youngster know that, you know, I don't see you as a bad person. You may have made, you know, a mistake in the decision you made, so I'm not here to judge you, but however, I've got to do my job, and the law is the law, and this is what it is, and there are consequences. But however, I know you can make it, and you are able to be a positive example to other youngsters.
Okay, Roy, thanks so much for what you've shared with us, but we have to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue to discuss more on your work at the Court of Guardianship, as well as to what you do with Y2X. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Are you really gonna eat all of that?
All of that chicken? All of that lettuce, cheese, and bacon?
Introducing KFC's new Mr. Twister. It's all that and more, featuring our famous crispy strips, bacon, lettuce, tomato, a cheese blend, and our signature Colonel sauce, all wrapped up in a giant tortilla and toasted to perfection.
You gonna eat all that chicken?
So good.
When I say Xerox, I know what you're thinking. Transit fares, as in the 37 billion transit fares we help collect each year. No. Oh, right. You're thinking of the 1.6 million daily customer care interactions Xerox handles, or the 900 million health insurance claims we process. So it's no surprise to you that companies depend on today's Xerox for services that simplify how work gets done, which is pretty much what we've always stood for. With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So Roy, this is the final segment of our first program. So now we want to talk a little bit about the Y2X. But before we start talking about what you do in Y2X, just wrap up a bit with us about your function at the Court of Guardianship.
Okay, well, what I can say, Angelique, is my function at the Court of Guardianship is, as I stated, I function as a social worker. However, my background is in counseling. So what I tend to do is I put into practice really a combination of what a social worker would do, which is absolutely investigating the social aspects of what is presented within a civil case or even a juvenile case, and combining that with the counseling skills that I have, which would allow the client to first of all feel very comfortable to share, but also at the same time to feel respected, because that's what it's all about. So when I do approach my clients, it's all about respecting them, letting them know that once you enter to my office space, you know, I'm seeing you as a human being, I'm seeing you fully, completely with your emotions, your experience, your situation, and I'm not there to judge you. However, we've got to deal with a very delicate matter, and I show that I'm empathizing with your situation, but at the same time, we've got to deal with the matter. So when I'm in front of a client, you know, these are the things I put into practice, and in particular for families, you know, where I see it, and unfortunately that happens where you can see as a professional that it could have been handled in a different way than them having to come to the office. But also too, when they come to the office, some do come to the office because they do want help, but some do come to the office with, you know, sometimes not even thinking about, hey, what am I doing to my children? It's not good, but then still has this sort of stance like, you know, I'm right in my ways, and don't dare you tell me that I'm wrong. So I try and balance that out. So at the end of the day, before that client leaves my office, we have come to an agreement, we have come to an understanding, and they have left knowing that I have respected them, and they have also shown respect back to me. And when it comes to the youngsters, again, like I have mentioned, you know, I show them that, you know, I do care. Even though I've got a job to do, I do care, and I do want them to be the best that they can be as a youngster in our society.
Right, so you continue the role of being the motivator that you are and the inspiration.
Yes,
and
correct.
now let's get into the exciting part, your function as, I believe, also motivator, counselor in the Y2X. So explain us what is Y2X and what your function is within that group.
Okay. The Y2X is the Youth to Extreme, the youth wing of Victorious Living Foundation, which the visionary and founder is Dr. Erna May Francis. I got involved in Y2X in 2010 when I came back to the island, and felt very inspired because back in the UK I worked a lot with youngsters and also students at university, and was very much involved in my local church. And because of my background in the Christian belief, you know, I thought, hey, while I'm back on the island, let me go that extra mile to see where there are young people groups that are faith-based, to give my contribution. So I got the opportunity in 2010 by volunteering, or Y2X, and Y2X is an interdenominational youth group, the youth wing, as I said, from Victorious Living, and what they stand for is reaching out to young people on the island, no matter if they are of faith or non-faith. And what we tend to do is really do uplifting things, so really to motivate, to also share about, Christ and how He loves them, and at the same time do wonderful activities. The Y2X also has its radio program on Youth Radio, 92.5 FM on the northern side of the island, and their program is aired every Saturday entitled Fresh. And we do really have really interesting topics that would give a buzz and interest to the youth that are listening. So my role is that I function as the head advisor or advisor of Y2X, and also the head of media ministries. So that means for TV, radio, etc. And it's a rewarding feeling, Angelique, because, you know, there I am among young people being able to contribute in the society and motivate, inspire, get other young people who out there are looking for answers, looking for purpose, to get them on board and, you know, feel that, you know, you're able to that you have life, that, you know, is not that bad after all, and that, you know, there's alternatives. So, you know, that's my part in Y2X, and I love it. I enjoy it, you know, being around the team and, you know, thinking about, you know, new ideas, innovative ideas, planning events, those sort of things. So I do enjoy that.
Yes, and I see how you get excited when you talk about the youngsters.
Yes.
Because I'm the same way, you know, and
Yes.
and you know, because the work that I do with the youngsters as well. And it is very refreshing. I don't know if it's because you feel like you're that age again, but it does feel refreshing to hear the way they think,
Correct.
to interact with them, to share your knowledge, your experience, but most of all to do just what you're doing, to motivate them, inspire them, and let them know that there's a world out there of opportunities, and whatever they want to achieve and whatever they want to do in life, it's attainable. Not to break them, not to demotivate them, but just for them to believe in their dream and to work hard at making it a reality.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad with all of the work that you're doing with the Y2X. And of course, in our next segment, the next program, we're going to be discussing those radio programs that you're a part of and how you actually make it work to motivate others. So Roy, I want you now to look into that camera.
Okay.
And the camera that's on this side.
Oh, this side, okay.
And, give your message to persons watching, your final message.
Okay. My final message to your, wonderful viewers out there is, when you wake up each and every day, you've got to ask yourself, what I set out to do today, is it going to make the following persons very proud? And that is, if it's going to make God proud of you, your family proud of you, your parents, if they're alive, proud of you, and your country. And as long as you've got that in mind, each and every day should be a day that you wake up to and want to do really your best within the society that you're living in, which is on our beautiful island, St. Martin.
So Roy, I want to thank you once again for having been a part of A Better Place. And of course, like I mentioned, in part 2 of our program, we will be discussing your positive role in the different radio shows that you have. And to you, the viewing audience, I would like to thank you for having been a part of A Better Place. Stay tuned as we bring you part 2, while we speak to the motivational and inspirational Mr. Roy Cotton Jr. I am your host, Angelique. Thank you.